I wanted to get started today by introducing
Tara.
Taryl O'Shea with the Arabian Horse Association. You're the new CEO, and very excited to hear what you have to say about the horse industry because I think for years horse shows have been just not really a spectator sport. So let me start with this. What first drew you to the Arabian horses, and what has kept you connected to the breed all these years?
That's a good question, Karen. I think I have a couple of different answers for that. I was put on my uncle's horse when I was 3, and from that point on, asked my parents every single day if I could get a horse. They said when I was 12 years of age, they would buy me a horse, and so it just so happened my first horse was an Arabian, and it was an Arabian that played polo, which was amazing for me. Um, but then when I moved, I grew up in Canada, born and raised in Canada. And when I moved down to the US, I moved to Arizona and saw on the side of the road there was a horse show on now, and it just so happened to be the Scottsdale Arabian Horse Show. And so at that time, I didn't own any Arabian horses, and so started volunteering there. I got involved in some of the committees, and then ultimately ended up running that organization for about 25 years. And so I that brought me obviously back into the Arabian horse world. And I love Arabian horses. So I started with them, got brought back to them, and will be a lifelong Arabian horse owner. I just love the breed. I love, everything about them. So
Yeah, they're
that's kind of a long answer to your question,
nah,
but
that's okay. All right, let me ask you this. Why do you feel the Arabian horse industry and equestrian sports in general have struggled to grow as spectator sports?
that's a question I've been thinking a lot about, for years. And I think things have just changed. Horses, years ago when I started, a lot of people had access to horses and, had time to immerse themselves in everything from trail rides to horse shows. And I think through the years, there's just been many other sports, many other hobbies that people can get involved in. And I think, the Arabian horse or the horse world in general has catered to the people interested in it and hasn't had the visibility it's had in the past. I think with Yellowstone and some of these Western, themed shows out there have have given people a little more exposure and has increased, the lifestyle aspect of having horses in your life. But I think it's my job with AHA to communicate and modernize, the message that we're putting out there regarding horses and, specifically Arabian horses. But I think it's just, there's many factors. It's just access to horses, it's the expense. But I think we're brainstorming on ways to get people more involved and make horse shows more exciting and just communicate that horses make your life better, not only for, mental health reasons, but it's just a great lifestyle. And so I think that's really an aspect I'm excited to jump into and try and help with, the help of many knowledgeable people. Just horses are good for people.
There, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. So you're stepping into this role at a really pivotal time, and what do you see as the biggest opportunity right now for the Arabian horse community?
So I think the biggest opportunity and is the fact that the Arabian horse industry is ready for some change. Over the last 2 years, a great group of leaders have stepped in to help energize the association. And so with their leadership, they've already kind of set forth a blueprint of what needs to be done and how we need to modernize, how we need to change, uh, how we talk about the Arabian horse, that it's not just this beautiful, you know, horse. It's a versatile family horse that can be good for the whole family, trail ride on Saturday and then go to your local show on Sunday. And so I think we're just set for change. And I can feel it within the industry. And I'm just really excited to be a part of, the momentum that has been building, not only within the industry, but just how we're going to modernize how we communicate about the horse and in general. So, yeah, I think, I'm stepping into a position where a lot of people have done some great work and some
Yeah.
great research on how we need to rise, the whole horse industry. And so I'm walking into, a blueprint of what we need to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that kind of leads into the next question. Um, for those of us who love the tradition of the Arabian horse, how do we evolve without losing what makes that breed so special?
That's a great question because the no breed has the history that the Arabian horse does. So we need to respect that, respect the history. But like I said, in the last question, we need to modernize. Uh, that the Arabian horse just isn't a horse that competes, at high levels. It's a horse that also can trail ride, can work the cattle, can go in dressage competitions. It's really the most versatile breed out there. So, I think we can respect the history of, the Arabian horses living in the tents with the Bedouins, which is what makes it so human. Its attachment to humans more than any other breed.
Mhm.
We need to respect that. It's an advancement for mankind, transporting people through the deserts, but we can also bridge the gap and see, communicate the human bond that this horse has with people, and that its endurance and versatility are a good fit for a lot of families, a lot of people, and you just don't have to compete at the elite levels with these horses.
Yeah, yeah. So, looking ahead a few years, what would success feel like for you? Not just numbers of horses, but the sense of community that happens around the Arabian horse.
So, success for me would be having a hand in bringing the Arabian horse community together. So, with the horse being so versatile and so many different disciplines, people have their ways of doing things. So, I think what we need to do is unite the Arabian horse community. Doing that will look like success for me. And then it will be introducing more people to the Arabian horse through different marketing campaigns that we're looking at. But I think if single-handedly, I would say it would be reuniting our community to work together to move the needle on horse ownership and membership and just involvement with the Arabian horse community.
So, I'm going to step off script here a little bit. Horses, it's it's hard to afford horses, these days. It leaves out a lot of people at some level. And then with the rising costs of diesel fuel and getting to the horse shows and doing events, how can we as a community come together and help people of all levels and ages enjoy the breed?
Yeah, and that's across all breeds. We've started to talk about different entry level opportunities from franchised lesson programs that we help set up across the country to maybe fractional ownership, lease options, riding programs. I think, when I grew up and I was in Pony Club and 4-H and I didn't own a horse, I was in a riding lesson program. I think there's some successful riding programs out there, but they're far and few between to try and find them nowadays. And the ones that, are successful here where I live, they're full. They have waiting lists. And so I think we need to bring it back to the grassroots level and provide these riding programs or leased ownership, and not always make it about heading to the horse shows. Make it about the skills of learning to care and ride a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And go on a trail ride. Or, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I see it here where I live. People love horses, and oftentimes they don't even want to ride them. They just want to be around them. And there was a family next to mine. It was a older couple, and their kids and grandkids lived next door, and they had this Arabian horse that they would just walk around the community, and it was how the older parents got their exercise. And every day you'd see them out there walking. They weren't walking their dog, they were walking their horse. And I thought, that is genius. Like, we have a lot of older horses that would really benefit for programs like that, but I don't think people think about it.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's communicating those kind of options, thinking outside the box, and just also educating farms and trainers that, there's a whole different world out there than trying to train people to go to horse shows.
Yeah. Well, and too, with the the internet and social media and all that, there's a lot of experts out there, and I think we have to be careful. With you as an organization, is to guide people to the right resources and that kind of thing, and be careful about how we care for these horses. But you're right, fun shows, and there's so many different avenues that the organizations can take, and I think I'm excited that you're such a big part of that community portion of it. And the other thing too is the Arabian breed has contributed to so many other horse breeds. And so you think about that and you think about the legacy, and it's a great place for people to start with any breed like that. It is the Arabian horse is so special. But let me wrap up with this. You mentioned there was a press release that came out, and it talks about the U.S. equestrian industry contributes more than $50 billion annually to the economy. And that's got to say something for coming into a town with a show or just being a part of the economy. And how do you see that happening with the Arabian horse industry?
So I think there's a few different ways. And I just learned one of these ways. I think for the Arabian Horse Association in particular, there are a lot of Arabian horses out there. So there is going to be a movement to try to unite the community and encourage people to DNA test their horses. So, like a lot of people do that. I did that with my dog to figure out what my adopted dog was. And I think I mean, that's a neat step to try to bring these horse owners together, and then we can communicate some different programs. But I think there is the industry is huge, and I just read something that it's like basically a third is high-end competition, a third is horse racing, and a third is leisure. And so I think that those numbers give us a lot of opportunity to try and give options within all three of those areas for people to get involved with horses and in general. And I think, the horse community needs to work together. It's definitely not an us against them. Just so happens we love Arabian horses and we see, special characteristics in them. But I think, the horse community can learn from each other to communicate the options out there. And I think we are going to take a deep dive into really, getting away from the status quo and thinking outside the box to try to educate people on different ways that they can get involved. And so, yeah, to be determined, but yeah, it's top of our list for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any closing thoughts that you would like to leave with our viewers today?
Yeah, I would like to encourage everyone to just go meet a horse. Uh, they're amazing animals, and with the big focus on not only the Western lifestyle, but just the peace that being around animals and outside brings. Just find an opportunity. You can get online, find a farm. We are on the Arabian Horse Association website. We have a list of farms that people can give them a call and go meet an Arabian horse. So get out there, the summer in, the not hot parts of the world. And it's a good time to go visit a farm and meet a horse and just realize how amazing these animals are, because I think a lot of people don't get a chance to meet them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, I would like to help share the word about the Arabian Horse Association and what you're doing. And so as a media outlet, I feel that's my job, is to share this with people and let them know the benefits of the breed, some of the really unique characteristics, and how people can enjoy them. So I look forward to working with you, Taryl, and I want to thank you so much for allowing me to share this information with our viewers. So anyway, you have a wonderful day. Is there any final questions that you would have for us?
Not at this time. I want to thank you, Karen. I know you have a big reach when it comes to the horse industry, so thank you. We appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, I will thank you again, and you have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to sharing this with our viewers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
For sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.